everyone, this is Devleena welcoming you all to another exciting episode of Icons Behind Brand video series Marketing Today and Tomorrow, where we are going to have a conversation with some of the leading minds in the business. And on today's episode, we have a guest who is a startup stalwart, a healthcare entrepreneur, a mentor to aspiring female leaders with 14 years of experience in building disruptive businesses and creating new channels in the healthcare industry. I welcome Ms Runam Mehta, who is a CEO of HealthCube. A warm welcome to you, Runam.
Thank you, Devleena, for your kind words.
Yes, so how does it feel like becoming a leading healthcare CEO now? So let's talk about your journey and about your background and what are the changes can we await and look forward, Runam?
All right. So I think for a founding team in any startup, the journey is both exhilarating as well as exhausting, right? The desire to create an impact is what drives founding members of any team, of any startup. But when you are the market leader in a nascent industry, in an up and coming industry, the challenges can be very, very overwhelming. And I think it's pretty much the same for us here at HealthCube. Today, the startup industry, we're in Bangalore, so we know how hot the startup industry is. And on the back of the pandemic, health tech has become hotter than it was ever before. There is a huge, there's huge disruption waiting to be made in the industry. And this will obviously lead to a lot of investment in the space. Investment is in terms of money as well as in talent. It is very important as CEO for us, for me to now keep the team aligned, keep our eyes on the goal, and to make sure that we continue to remain ahead of the curve in terms of both innovation and in terms of reach. You asked about the changes at HealthCube. I think some of the changes we've already started making. We have recommitted ourselves to innovation in the point of care to diagnostic space. We've recently won the BioSmart Startup of the Year award just I think 2 nights ago, and that is a great validation of our journey so far.
Congratulations
on that. Thank you so much. We are committed to improving our reach in the global market, and at the same time, we're also looking at going into deep India, into Bharat, and seeing how we can solve the problem of accessibility across the nation.
I wish you all the very best for that, Runam, and the plans and changes sounds very exciting. We'll look forward towards that, and best wishes for that, Runam.
Thank you, Devleena.
So I have observed, Runam, in healthcare leadership team, it's a women-led management team, right? Which is not commonly seen in the startup environment, right? So how can you take us through about the strong points as a team, about the challenges, about the learning, and about the notions that you have broken?
Wow, that's a loaded question, Devleena. You're right. Sadly, women are grossly underrepresented across the workforce and much more so in leadership roles. This gross underrepresentation of women is even more stark in tech-led startup ecosystems. It's not by design, but at HealthCube, the CEO and the CTO, my colleague Dr. Radha, well, we're both female and we're also backed by a venture capitalist firm, Alchemy, which is also fully female-led. So it's a lot of women power on our team out here. Radha and I are focused on building a team that values trust, accountability, ownership, and teamwork above all else. We have extremely complementary skill sets, Devleena, and a very high degree of trust between us. This helps us to have the really difficult conversations and arrive at decisions very quickly. I believe that indecisiveness can kill any organization, and especially a startup, right? Because all the challenges of limited resources, entry barriers, etc. If you're not decisive, if you're not focused, that can actually kill any organization. So with Radha and I, we have a team that is able to trust each other, pass on the ball to each other very, very quickly, and make rapid decisions when required. You asked about my learnings as a female leader. Well, what I've learned is that it's really important, at least for me, to bring my whole self to work. I find it hard, and I don't think it's necessary to keep personal, professional, emotional lives separate. I have a young child, for instance, and obviously that places some constraints. And I'm always very transparent with my team, with the investors, with other stakeholders about what what I need to do as a mother, such so that my work as a professional is complemented and not compromised. I'm also very transparent with my team about the role that my husband plays in enabling me to have reached where I am today. And I hope that it helps. We have a very young team here. We've got a lot of young people just getting married, just starting their personal lives. And I hope that this helps them understand how they can be better partners, better spouses for their female counterparts. Right? I also encourage my team to bring their whole selves to work, to be very comfortable talking about any constraints that they have, and have open discussions on how work and personal life will kind of intermingle, right? So that I think is an important thing for us to do. Notions are broken. Okay, so I come from a very non-traditional educational background. I'm a physiotherapist by education, and I'm a business person by profession. I've always had one leg in the business, had my own startups through the last 15 years. Uh, After 5 years of successfully running my own company, I joined the corporate world. And for the first time, I realized that remuneration is often benchmarked on pedigree and not necessarily on just, capability or responsibility. And I mean, I did go on to do my own MBA also at IMT. But for many years, when I did not have the pedigree behind me, I realized that I had to work double as hard in order to earn the seat at the table that was given naturally to people who came from this background. And through the years that I worked with extremely empowering leadership, they recognized talent, they gave me challenging opportunities, and they did not allow my lack of an IB education at that time to really hold me back. I like to believe that together this team broke the notion of always needing a certain kind of pedigree to do well. I believe hard work, consistency, and the willingness to go an extra mile, especially in the startup world, can actually be the differentiator, regardless of where you come from. I'd also like to add that there are many people in the old organization where I worked who have derived inspiration from my journey, who have done their executive MBAs in various colleges, and who are now on the path to leadership roles, uh, having having had that barrier broken. That if you haven't done the engineering plus MBA, the classical education that we all expect, you won't really get far. That barrier, I believe, has been.
I'm so happy, Runam, that a person like you who has done a lot in her career is a part of IBB today, and sharing your experience in the platform. It is pretty encouraging, especially for the women leaders, the aspiring women leaders. Being me, a woman in the industry, I could resonate with so many different parts of life, how well you have been managing your professional life as well as being a woman. It's a crucial part to balance the home and balance your as a parent, your parenthood, and at the same time your team. So I just love the idea that being transparent with your team, with your stakeholders, and with your family is going to help any women. You just you just do not have to be two different persons. Just be one person who you are, and you can move forward, right? And as you said, there are a lot of notions which we as a leader we have to break in our mind first, and that's how it reflect in the society. So I'm sure it is going to encourage a lot of women leaders who has the quality, but at the same time a little push they need. So I wish you all the very best towards your success and journey. So, as a growth expert, give us 3 actionable tips which can help any marketer to create an awesome marketing campaign.
Okay, well, thank you. Uh, Firstly, let me just state that I'm not really a marketer myself, but I've been surrounded by amazing marketing minds all my career, and I've learned a lot from them. My husband is a marketer himself as well, so having learned from them and applied some of my learnings to my own career, I'll tell you what I think. I think the most important thing is to understand if your product solves a problem, and then to base your messaging around the problem statement and how your product fulfills that gap. Sometimes marketers, and especially young marketers, make the mistake of focusing on the USPs of the product. While that is important, I think the problem statement and solution and how it fits together is the most important part of your messaging. So that's the first thing to think about. The second thing, which I think is very important, is to listen to your consumer. Without being defensive, without having your guards up, just really, really listen to what your consumer is saying and change your pitch, evolve your product if required. So I think the takeaway here would be to be authentic with both your message and your messaging. It has to make sense to the target group that you're speaking to. Just because you resonate with a message doesn't really mean that's the best message for the target group that you're reaching. And finally, I think the most important thing to do is to track. You have to make sure that you know how your marketing campaign or how your message is evolving into business eventually. Now, sales cycles can be very different for different kind of businesses, for different kind of channels. I have been a part of a B2C organization where the sales cycle is about 2 hours. And I'm now part of a B2B organization where our sales cycle can sometimes last 6 to 8 months. So it's very important to know what to expect as an outcome of your marketing campaign and not abandon a certain line of messaging too early or too quickly, right? So I think these are the three things. I will repeat them. I think it's important to get your problem statement and the solution into a neat little puzzle that fits together. It's important to be very authentic in your message and in your messaging. And finally, it's important to track and to know what to expect from your marketing campaigns in the long term.
These are, I think, extremely key points for any marketers to keep in mind, the foundations, and profound and on point, Runam, that, bridging the gap, your product market fit, like, I mean, the consumer really needs that or not. I mean, keeping your USPs always in mind. So I feel these are great points to look forward as a marketing. So as this is a marketing platform, and our major audience is from the marketing side, so I thought it would be great to listen from a CEO about the marketing plans, about the points about marketing, right? So one more marketing question. So as we move forward, how does the future of marketing look like, Runam?
That's a great question. Actually, I think the future of marketing is going to get very, very interesting. And I'm going to stick to the response in terms of healthcare because that's really where my expertise lies, right? The marketing landscape in healthcare has changed dramatically over the last decade. We have moved from the outdoor, the BTL activities to digital and virtual, of course, led by the pandemic. To approach, engage, and appeal to the masses, healthcare marketing has to become customer centric, right? The savvy consumer today doesn't just expect expertise, they also expect very, very good customer experience. They expect value driven products. They expect true and deep expertise, right? Because now it's very easy for the consumer to check, to compare, to get reviews, to get opinions, and the consumers are becoming smarter. So you have to keep up with their expectation. To drive longevity, expertise alone will not survive, will not help people survive. Customer experience, patient experience, really being invested in a person's well-being is, and showcasing that from a brand perspective, being able to showcase how you care and how you become part of somebody's health journey is going to be very critical as part of marketing campaigns going ahead. One thing that we must keep in mind is that marketing budgets in the healthcare industry, with the advent of startups, are increasing dramatically. There was a time when hospitals and traditional healthcare systems would invest about 1.3 to 2% of their revenues into marketing. That number is fast moving towards 6 to 7%, which is a huge change. So there's a lot of demand on the consumer's attention, to grab their mind space and their wallet share. And and brands have to really stand out in how they present their marketing and their value prop, present the brand and their value prop in order to capture someone's imagination.
And it's a long-term relationship between the brands and the consumers.
Absolutely.
So being a consumer centric, being a customer centric is the future of marketing and the present of marketing, of course. So I think any brand cannot afford to avoid that part, being a very consumer centric.
So I'll just come in here, Devleena, just to make one more additional point, right? In the past, marketing in healthcare has always been expert centric, right? It's been about the expertise, it's been about the surgeries you can do, it's been about the doctor that you have. It's always been about the person who delivers the service. It's never been about the consumer. That is the dramatic shift that is taking place as we speak. Now the marketing, the narrative is changing. The narrative has to change. It is becoming about how the consumer benefits from a specific product, service, hospital expertise, whatever that may be. And that's the paradigm shift.
Right, extremely valid point. Like, I mean, focusing into the consumer's benefit and directly letting them know how are the benefits. I mean, how these benefits are going to help you. I mean, these are the things. Right. So, as a CEO, Runam, what are the principles do you rely upon during the toughest moment?
Okay. So Devleena, both in my personal and in my professional life, I like to break down problems or decision making moments, right, into first principles. I tend to keep questioning assumptions until we really get to the root cause of what we need to solve for, and then just solve for that small problem, right? I also have a very strong bias for action. I think that comes from my professional upbringing, which has always been in the startup ecosystem. So I do not suffer from analysis paralysis. I do not believe that I can plan for every single contingency or disaster that may happen. Based on the information that is in front of me, I make the best possible decision, and I prefer to get started. And then, as more information comes to light, I'm open to course correction. Now, the important thing here for people who are listening is I have nothing against analysis, right? And in bigger organizations, in more mature situations, perhaps analyzing the multiple options is the better approach. But given the ecosystem that I belong to, inaction is often moving backwards, is equal to moving backwards. So I believe it's important to act, to decide to act, but then to be very, very open to accept if you've made the wrong decision and to course correct. You cannot stay the path even after new information comes to light, and in the face of a mistake. So yeah, that's really my approach.
Yes. So just to summarize this, to be very actionable towards any decision is going to take you move forward, and I'm also a firm believer on you discuss on something, some ideas, but to take the action as fast as possible is going to take you in, I mean, is going to decide whether this idea is going to work or not. So being from the startup industry, I relate it very well, and we call it fail fast. I mean, if that
I know what you said.
just fail fast and move forward. So I love the concept of failing fast and moving forward.
Exactly.
So with that, now we are moving to a interesting section, which is a rapid fire round. You to answer in one word or as minimum as possible.
Okay.
Yes. So let's start it with, what is leadership for you?
Leadership to me is the ability to bring out the best in your team.
What is a book you are planning to read?
I have on my list My Life in Full by Ms Runam Mehta.
Wow, that is in my list as well. I mean, that's look forward. I've been listening from quite long time, and she's inspiring, and the stories are very relatable being a women leader. So, what's been the greatest influence to you?
Um, my grandmother, my nani, actually is the greatest influence. So she is my first example of a role model for women who can have it all: friends, family, community, and a business.
Wow, that's pretty inspiring, Runam. I mean, being someone in your family and who has impacted the society in such positive way, what is the best thing happened to you this year?
Well, a lot of things happened to me this year. I moved out of Portia. I joined HealthCube as to lead growth, and very recently, just a month ago, I have taken over as CEO. But the best thing that has happened to me is I was able to find two people in this team and set them on a slightly different career path than the one that they had envisioned for themselves. And they're both flourishing in the new role that I have kind of molded out for them. And I have a feeling that they're going to be immensely successful in their career. And nothing gives me more pleasure than that.
That's right. Nothing can be more satisfying than seeing your team member growing in their absolute potential. So, when are you most inspired, Runam?
For me, Devleena, what works very well is small group conversations. If there is a two or three people inspired discussion, brainstorming, solutioning that's happening, I feel the group dynamic helps me to get very evolved ideas as compared to any other situation. For example, this conversation with you.
Wow. So nice to hear that, Runam. And the same thing is happening to me. I learn a lot from people like you, and that is something that is benefiting the platform and the audience and me immensely. So I resonate with that. Early in the morning or late in the night? What kind of person you are?
Early morning. Solo work early in the morning, always.
What is the best compliment you have ever received?
Oh, wow. Okay. Uh, well, very recently, a few women from my earlier organization started reaching out to me for mentoring, for advice, and I derive from how they talk that I've been a source of inspiration for them. And that I think they say imitation is the best form of flattery. So that I think is the best compliment.
That's right, and
that
I'm sure. I mean, there are many who inspired by your action, and silently you inspire many people around.
Thank you.
What does creativity means to you?
I think creativity is a very true expression of yourself and it can manifest in many ways.
Wow, I love the answer, Runam. It's a very different facet of creativity which you have just presented. It's a true self of yourself. I mean, how you are expressing it. I love it. It's an important life lesson for someone to learn.
For me, the most important first principle that I live by is to show up. Things get difficult, but it's important to always show up. You show up for your team, you show up for your family, you show up for yourself.
Amazing, Runam. I mean, I feel the basic things, the simplest things, if we follow those principles, and these are the mantra for success. There is no big things you have to do for success. See, simply showing up, but you just have to show up every day.
Every day.
Yeah,
Exactly.
each and every day, no matter what. So
Absolutely.
move forward. We are just out of the rapid fire round, and before we wind up the conversation, I would love to hear from you, Runam, your message to aspiring women leaders.
I'd be lying if I could say that a woman can succeed on her own, or even a man, right? I don't think anyone can succeed all by themselves. There's nothing like a self-made man or a self-made woman. It is your village, it is your community that helps you to succeed. So, to aspiring women who want to become leaders, who want to, whatever success means to them, I would say this: surround yourself with people, with peers, mentors, friends who are invested in your success. Uh, Take help from them, lean on them, listen to them, and then just go for it. But don't think that you have to do it all by yourself. Nobody does it all by themselves. Nobody can do. I mean, that's not how we're built. That's not what we're supposed to do. So create your own community, give love, get love, and fly from there.
So nice, Runam. I mean, see, being a woman, and we are somehow taught by the society, be a hustler, don't ask anybody. I mean,
Yeah,
just move forward with for your success. There is nobody who is going to help you. But I just love the simplicity on this answer, Runam. Just make your community, make your peers, whom you can trust, and they can trust on you, on your success, and just ask for help, and there are a lot of people to help you. So me,
absolutely.
I'm a first time entrepreneur, and I completely believe you, if you ask, you get the help, and if you're not
Absolutely.
asking, answer is no. So I have got a lot of help from my peers, from my community, from my society, from my family, of course. So yeah, I mean, you just cannot be success by, I mean, alone. There is a whole lot of your society, your village, your community, they are behind your success, no matter, I mean, if it is a women or men. I mean, so I
Yeah.
like the simplicity of this answer, Runam. So it was wonderful and very inspiring to have a conversation with you, a person like you, a young entrepreneur, a young CEO of a leading healthcare startup. So, Runam, all the very best. And I'm so thankful to you for sharing your time from your busy schedule to this platform. I know how busy you are. You are just constantly traveling from one city, right? So, thank you for being here, and we are, I mean, it was incredible having you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Devleena. And it was a pleasure speaking with you. My pleasure completely.
Yeah, and I hope you had a good time, Runam.
I did. I did.